How's it going, everybody? Bryan Alvarez here on Wrestling Observer Live. We are here every day, Monday through Friday, noon Pacific, 3 Eastern, Sundays, 3 Pacific, 6 Eastern. We are coming down to the wire here in WrestleMania season. We've got more matches announced for the show. We have got Raw tonight, where I'm sure they will announce more, SmackDown tomorrow. And now that the New Japan Cup is over, we have got a full lineup for the G1 Madison Square Garden ROH New Japan show. We're going to go over the full card for that show here today. We'll talk about the Mania card as we have it as well. We're going to talk about all of the matches that we know about over WrestleMania weekend from the major companies. We've also got new inductees into the WWE Hall of Fame. Actually, we already knew about him, but it is now official. The Hart Foundation going into the WWE Hall of Fame. Bret Hart and Jim the Anvil Neidhart. We can talk about that here. The announcement in the finale of Total Bellas that both Bellas are retiring from pro wrestling. We could talk about what they said about that. And also, yes, a very interesting story. It's actually much more interesting than it sounds on the surface. WWE sending out a press release today announcing that Ronda Rousey, Becky Lynch, and Charlotte Flair is officially being promoted as the, quote, main event of WrestleMania 35. What did the press release say? What did it not say? And what do I believe has now happened? We will talk about this after the first break here today. Also, the full card for Mania thus far, and as noted, more matches to be announced tonight. And of course, SmackDown, we also have the AJ Styles Kurt Angle match that is still being promoted. Who knows what'll happen? Mark my words, anything can happen on SmackDown on Tuesday. We'll talk about that on the show today. If you want to give us a call, 844-411-5411 is the phone number. Already got people on the line here. That is toll-free, 844-411-5411. Text message number 425-780-7566. We're going to kick it off after the break here on Wrestling Observer Live. Back in the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. All right, let's start with this right here. With the news, this person says that the women are main eventing WrestleMania. That means Becky has to win, right? Asking for 80,000 friends. That is Chris in Long Island. This person here, we got another one on this very same topic. I think the women being in the main event basically guarantees a Becky win. It's another one regarding the main event as it is being billed of WrestleMania. So if you've not seen already, WWE issued a press release today. And I'm going to read the press release itself, not all the stories written about the press release. This is from the Business Wire. It says, WrestleMania, restricted by the way, to feature first ever women's main event. For the first time in WWE history, a women's match will be the main event of WrestleMania as the Raw Women's Championship, featuring Ronda Rousey versus Charlotte Flair versus Becky Lynch, will take place on Sunday, April 7, in front of a capacity crowd at MetLife Stadium and streaming live on WWE Network around the world. Talks about all of this here, the Ronda Rousey, who she is, who Charlotte is, who Becky Lynch is, etc., etc. So, just want to say a couple things right here. First off, nowhere in this press release does it say anything about this match closing WrestleMania. It says that this match is the main event of WrestleMania. If you've watched television, if you've watched any WrestleMania, Seth Rollins versus Brock Lesnar has been billed as a main event of WrestleMania. Ronda Rousey, Charlotte Flair, Becky has been billed as a main event of WrestleMania. It's possible, I'd have to go back, but Kofi Kingston, Daniel Bryan, it's possible that they were talking about that being a championship match in the main event of WrestleMania. So, Vince McMahon is running this company, and until the show is over, there is no guarantee that this match is closing the show. Okay? Let's just get that out of the way first. There is no guarantee that this match is closing the show at WrestleMania. Now, with that said, they issued a press release here, and while it does not say anywhere that this match is closing the show, the way that this is written and the way that people are reading this indicates that this match is, in fact, closing WrestleMania. If you go online and you see the tweets by Ronda and Charlotte and Becky and Rick and everybody else that's tweeting about this, they are tweeting about this as if they are closing the show at WrestleMania. Now, if there was a possibility that something else would close the show, like a strong possibility, to me, the company would go to these people and tell them not to tweet about this as if it's closing the show. Because with millions of social media followers and everything else, there is now an expectation among fans that this match is closing the show at WrestleMania. Within WWE, the feeling is that this match is closing the show. So while the verbiage is not on there that it's closing the show, and while there is a possibility, mark my words, there is a possibility that it doesn't close the show, I would say today that with 95% certainty, this match is going on last. And that would be history. So we'll see what happens come the day of the show. But I think it's closing the show. Any thoughts on this, Mike?
There's going to be a battery of press releases that probably come out since they have 2 weeks to whip everybody up into a frenzy for WrestleMania. So I can see a bunch of these press releases being issued out there, all announcing main events because it's what you should do. Don King, anybody that's, pay-per-views, you have your big shows, and then you can have the excuse to have 5 different main events on a show, which they do. So, yay. I hope the women do close the show because it is history and because it does make the most sense right now with as popular as Becky Lynch is, as much attention as the storyline has gotten, whether good or bad, and with Ronda Rousey being involved. It just makes sense this year in their home of New York, their longtime home, to go ahead and go pull the trigger and have that be the main event. And you have good stories throughout this whole thing. You can do Brock Lesnar or Seth Rollins and make the excuse for that. With Roman Reigns coming back, you can make the excuse for Kofi Kingston and Daniel Bryan. You can do a lot of different things, but just the women this time around probably, I hate the chant, but deserve the spot.
All right, so here's WrestleMania, the main event. Ronda Rousey, Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair in a triple threat match. Brock Lesnar versus Seth Rollins. Triple H, Batista, no holds barred. AJ Styles, Randy Orton. Samoa Joe versus Rey Mysterio for the U.S. title. Baron Corbin versus Kurt Angle. Still, that's the match right now. We got Shane McMahon versus The Miz. The Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal with Braun Strowman. Buddy Murphy versus Tony Nese. We've been told there will be a women's battle royal, although that is not official, so you can add that. We've been told there will be a SmackDown tag team title match, so you can add that. We've been told it's going to be Daniel Bryan, Kofi Kingston, so you can add that. We're looking at, there was a text message, or maybe a caller the other day, that was talking about how there could be 16 matches, or 18 matches at WrestleMania. And looking at the card, you could make that argument, but it just seemed preposterous. It is, in fact, looking like this is going to be a 16, 17-match show by the time everything rolls around. The idea is, at this point, it's still going to be normal WrestleMania length. So I guess that would be the 2-hour pre-show and then a 4.5 to 5 hour show. So it's not going to be like 6 hours on top of the pre-show. They're going to try to fit everything into that window. And some of these matches are going to get a lot of time. And so at the end of the day, Kurt Angle, Baron Corbin, they may get 7 minutes. It's not going to be like a 20-minute barn burner. It wouldn't be no matter what. It's Kurt Angle, Baron Corbin. But some of these matches are not going to be particularly long. So that's the lineup right now for WrestleMania. More to be made official over the next couple of days on Raw and SmackDown.
Doesn't mean anything, but it just makes me wonder how long they'll go before somebody suggests there to try to pull the trigger and do 2-day WrestleMania. And I guess it depends on what happens in New Japan. It depends on what happens with New Japan this year, but especially in a city like Tampa, just using that as an example, because in New York and some places, it's easy to have a lot of secondary stuff. And if WWE ever wanted to just completely dominate a weekend, in a place like Tampa, you really could by having a 2-day WrestleMania festival style of thing where you really do overtake the whole weekend and you make sure everything's about you and you maximize every dollar coming in, making sure it goes to you through NXT UK, sub signings and then this, that, and the other with all of the things that they could do now.
All right, so the New Japan Cup has ended, and we now know Okada is facing Jay White for the IWGP Heavyweight title in the main event. And we now have a full card for the G1 Supercard, Ring of Honor, and New Japan, April 6th, Saturday, in New York, Madison Square Garden. Will be airing on both New Japan World and Honor Club. And this is the lineup. We've got Jay White versus Okada for the IWGP Heavyweight title. Jay Lethal will be defending the ROH title against Marty Scurll and Matt Taven in a triple threat ladder match. Naito will be defending the Intercontinental title against Kota Ibushi on the show. For the Rev Pro British Heavyweight title, Zack Sabre Jr. against Hiroshi Tanahashi. We have got the IWGP Tag Team Championship on the line. Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa will be facing either... Actually, what is this here? Versus the Briscoes versus Evil and Sonata. I guess it's now a four-way.
It is a four-way, not corners, whatever the hell.
Okay,
it is,
they haven't even taped the rematch yet, but one way or the other, PCO and Brody King are in that match. It is Tama Tonga Tongaloa versus PCO and Brody King versus the Briscoes versus Evil and Sonata. It is a four-way with... It's a title versus title four-way. Okay.
Got to get everybody on the card.
That's just weird. So what that basically means is Tama Tonga and Tongaloa could beat Evil and Sonata, and then I guess they don't win the ROH Tag Team titles. I guess champions must beat champions for the championships to change. And if the other teams beat somebody else, and nothing changes.
Huh?
Yeah. That's what it's looking like here, right? We'll figure this out after the break. Wrestling Observer Live. All right. So I got thrown off, but anyway, the match is a four-way. Whichever team wins gets all the belts. That's it. Okay? So Tama Tonga, Tongaloa, PCO and Brody King, Briscoes, Evil and Sonata. Winning team is the ROH and the IWGP Tag Team Champions. All right. Taiji Shimori against Dragon Lee and Bandito, triple threat match. Bully Ray, New York City Street Fight Open Challenge. We have got Mayu Iwatani against Kelly Klein. Roosh versus Dalton Castle. Will Ospreay versus Jeff Cobb. Title for title. Never and ROH TV championships on the line. And the 30-entrant Honor Rumble. So as many, many, many people have noted, no Ishii on the main card. Unless he's the guy that accepts Bully Ray's New York Street Fight Open Challenge, which actually, I'd love to see that.
Can you imagine?
I don't think that's going to happen, but God, that'd be awesome. So it looks like he will be in the Honor Rumble. And hey, you know what? Maybe he'll win. Maybe he'll win. Who knows?
Depends on what you're doing with the Honor Rumble. You know, what does it mean? But I'll say this. If you say the Honor Rumble, hey, you can choose a match against somebody and... Say Jeff Cobb defeats Will Ospreay because Will Ospreay defeated him. And we see maybe she wants to challenge, since this is all about fantasy booking, he wants to challenge Jeff Cobb. That's a match I can get behind.
All right, let's go to the phones here on the air. What is going on?
Hello, this is Jack in Montana.
Montana,
you were talking about the... well, I'm in Utah now because of spring break.
Cool.
So, you were talking about the Observer Hall of Fame.
Wait a second. You went to Montana for spring break?
No, I live in Montana. I'm in Utah now.
I got it. Okay. All right. I got it. You went to Utah? All right. Yeah. Go ahead.
What current WWE wrestlers do you think are Observer Hall of Famers?
What current WWE wrestlers that aren't already in the Hall of Fame?
That are not in the Hall of Fame. Like, that are, like... going to be eligible in a couple of years.
Talking about the WWE Hall of Fame. All right, I'm going to have to go through the roster here to take a look at it, so we'll hold that one off until later, but don't let me forget on a potentially slower news day which wrestlers currently in WWE are eligible or should be going to the Hall of Fame. Let's go to the phones. Oh my God, you're on the air. What's up?
How you guys doing today?
What's happening?
So, my question is, this is Craig calling from Connecticut. Is AEW going to be doing any kind of ring announcer at all?
Are you the same guy that? Are you the same guy that just texted in about Justin Roberts?
that is a strong possibility, yes.
All right. I don't know for sure, but, I mean, he was used for All In. I mean, he's great. So I don't know, but I would not be the least bit surprised if Justin Roberts was the AEW ring announcer.
Perfect. Hey, thank you very much. You guys keep up the good work, all right?
All right, thanks so much. Yeah, don't report that I said that was a fact. I'm just saying. Like, I would not be the least bit surprised if Justin Roberts was the AEW ring announcer. I'm not saying that he is. I just would not be surprised.
I wonder if the services of Gary Michael Capetta have been acquired for the Crockett Cup coming up, the NWA ROH show at the end of April down in Carolinas. It just would make sense if he was there. I have no idea how it works with any of that stuff, but something tells me they should have Capetta there.
Something tells me they should have me and Filthy there.
Oh.
By the way, on Friday, April 5th, I'll be in Jersey City, New Jersey, competing for the Independent Wrestling Championship. It's a title match against Orange Cassidy, live on independentwrestling.tv at Black Label Pros Adventures in Wrestling. 2 days before that, Wednesday, April 3rd, 8 Eastern, IWTV kicking off their WrestleMania week schedule with the debut of Beyond Wrestling's new weekly series. A new weekly series, Uncharted Territory. Every Wednesday night, Beyond will present a new episode live from Worcester, Massachusetts, on IWTV, featuring a who's who of independent wrestling's top stars. Head over to independentwrestling.tv. Subscribe today to be a part of indie wrestling history. Independentwrestling.tv, the former Powerbomb TV. Head up there and check it out. I'm about to be the face of independentwrestling.tv when I defeat Orange Cassidy for the Independent Wrestling Championship. It will fall into my hands. Do you understand, Mike? I will be the face of independentwrestling.tv. I'm going to have that belt right here. Video.f4wonline.com. Shine into the camera every single day.
Well,
you'll see.
Possibly.
It's not possibly.
Well, possibly to help you out with your mission on that before, and I know you don't need any help or anything like that. You're going through your hard training right now, but you talked about that Wednesday when that show debuts. That Tuesday, Drew Cordero from Beyond Wrestling is going to be on with us, not only talking about Beyond Wrestling and this whole thing he's got going on with Uncharted Territory, and maybe even how you can make an appearance, but also to give you a little bit of a scouting report on Orange Cassidy, since he is quite familiar with him. And I got to be honest, I've talked to Drew before. We did a little bit of an interview here on Observer Live, and I'm not sure that you're ready for the types of psychological warfare that Orange Cassidy can play with you.
You kidding me? You see the people I deal with on this show, Mike? He can't even compare. I deal with Wang on a weekly basis.
I bet you do.
Should mention, this person says, is the Open Challenge off the table? Yes, the Open Challenge is off the table for Mania weekend. I was planning to do the Open Challenge, and then Orange Cassidy issued a challenge to me, and Black Label Pro wanted to put it together, and so I negotiated. I will be challenging him for his title, and not vice versa.
Well,
so,
if you were a real man and a real jiu-jitsu master, you would have your open challenge like Crash Holly 24/7. Anytime anybody sees you, they can run up on you.
You know anything about jiu-jitsu? Are you kidding me? It's not happening. And yes, this person says, Bryan, correct me if I'm wrong, didn't Filthy lose to Orange Cassidy?
Mm-hmm.
If Filthy lost, aren't you at all concerned that Cassidy will come out on top at Mania weekend? Well, listen, I'm not downplaying Orange Cassidy. I'm not saying that he can't beat me. I mean, anybody can be beaten. There is nobody that cannot be beaten, including myself. I know that's hard to believe. And yes, he beat Filthy, but I hear that Filthy was clowning around in that match.
He beat himself.
And I'm going to tell you one thing right now. I will not be clowning around in the match. So yeah, I could lose, but I'm not going to go in there and beat myself. I'm going to go in there with the mindset of leaving with 2 titles, and that's it. Yeah, I could lose. Guy's great. He's the champion. I'm not going in there against some scrub. He is the champion of independentwrestling.tv. So it's no joke. And it's not going to be a joke during that match. I want to throw that in there. It won't be a joke.
If you win that title, will you defend it? Will you go on uncharted territories and defend that title?
Hey, I might. I'll defend the title. You kidding me? If I win the title, I will defend it. Let's go to the phones. I'm no GSP. You're on the air. What's going on? Hello, caller.
Hey, I had a question about the women's triple threat. So, I saw Dave's tweet about it, saying it's like the most anticipated fight on the show. I don't know if I agree with that, but I mean, it's cool for them. But my question for you, Bryan, is the end of the match. Do you see them booking it with a storyline finish where Becky's the conquering champion who beat the heels, or do you think they're going to do the whole everybody come out and hold hands and sing Kumbaya kind of thing? Because that just delegitimizes the whole female movement to me so much when they do stuff like that.
Well, I want to thank you very much for the call. Here's my thoughts on the main event and hugging and everything like that. It all depends. How can I say this? If it works, it works. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Okay? So there's two things. Number one, if Ronda Rousey is done after WrestleMania, there very well could be a curtain call. If Ronda Rousey is not done after WrestleMania, there will not be a curtain call, because if she's staying for one more month, then I could almost guarantee that Becky beats Charlotte to win the title, and then they go Becky Ronda one-on-one the next month, and Becky beats Ronda. If Ronda's not leaving, I just feel that's what they're going to do. Now, what's the point of doing a one-on-one match if Becky beat Ronda for the title at WrestleMania? There's no point to it. So if you're going to do a one-on-one match, you got to at least have something resembling a story, like she never beat the champion. Then she goes and beats the champion. Now, if Ronda's final day is WrestleMania, I absolutely could see the deal where Becky wins and they all stand there in the ring, and as long as the crowd is super into it, they could do that three-way handshake, hug, arms raised. I don't think it's the end of the world. I can see them doing that because it's history. Now, whether they do that, I don't know, but I absolutely could see them doing that if that's the end of Ronda. We'll see.
That I can't stand. And nobody crying. I don't want anybody crying on this show.
Well, there will be crying.
Oh, God, and there's no more crying. Everybody's crying. Look, if you're not going to pin Ronda, you could not pin Ronda and not, I don't know. The only thing that really matters is Becky wins. And you're going to have Becky and Charlotte coming out of this. And Becky, I just don't want to see a whole bunch of arm raising and all that stuff at the end, because I need Charlotte against Asuka. I need Charlotte against Becky. I need Charlotte in there with other people. I don't need her palling around with everybody, Same thing when it comes to Becky and Ronda. Why? The way Ronda's been throughout this whole thing, it should be good riddance from a wrestling point of view, so I don't like it.
Back in a moment, Wrestling Observer Live. Back in the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. This person says, Bryan, after you destroy Orange Cassidy, after I slice him up, will you give a championship opportunity to Big Vinny V? Well, earlier today I did note that anybody can lose. Nobody is unbeatable. And that very fact is proven by Vinny V beating me the last time we were in the ring together. He won the YWF Championship from me, 2006. Then he threw my ass into a kiddie pool afterwards. So, if I win, when I win the Independent Wrestling Television Championship, I will consider defending it against Vinny V. But he must get clearance from his doctor, number one, for his own safety. And I want the YWF Championship on the line so that I can win that belt back and have 3 titles here. That's my stipulation. But we can talk about all of that later.
Wait, hold on. Let's talk about it now, just momentarily here. Didn't you write a book where you talked about Hulk Hogan bringing back the Ultimate Warrior after all of those years, just because he was so desperate to get his win back. And here you are, still fuming every single day that you have to look over at him and do a podcast with him. And you look at him being happy with his wife and his life and writing about football, doing what he loves, and it just kills you inside. And you want to bring him out of retirement and get him cleared by a doctor just to break that man down again. I am shocked by you.
Let me tell you something, Mike. And this, I swear on a stack of Bibles, is a guarantee. If I ever wrestled Vinny again, I promise you it would be better than Hogan versus Warrior 2. I promise. Let's go to the phones. You're on the air. What's going on?
Wow. Well,
I know.
All team from San Antonio.
Going out on a limb there.
That is it. Well, I mean, that's very... Can you also promise it will be better than... Charmel versus Jenna Morasca.
Are you kidding me? Yes.
Well,
I could have Vinny stand in the corner and just chop him 50 times and pin him, and it would be better than both those matches.
I can guarantee that is absolutely 100% true. I can verify that as a fact. But, okay, listen, Bryan. I just want you to know before I say this, the Bryan Video Show is my favorite show. I love it very much. And you remind me a lot of me with those Mexicans who have a propensity for hyperbole.
Dear God.
But I was going to stick with you.
Yes.
Last night on the Bryan Vinny Show, you said that Jim Cornette was a really good talker, but and I don't know if you just met him, compared to everyone else on the show, but you said he was a great talker, but not a great promo, and that immediately reminded me of what you said about the Miz.
No. I'm going to just cut you off right here. I knew somebody would run with this. Listen, I was ranking who I thought were the best promos that I had seen over the last couple of months in Crockett Promotions in the summer of 1988, okay? Number one, by a country mile, was Dick Murdoch, as far as cutting promos that made me want to see the matches that he was talking about, okay? I was talking about Flair, who is an incredible promo. I think, I don't know. Flair, obviously, I mean, do I even need to explain to everybody? He's one of the great talkers of all time. And Dusty Rhodes, obviously one of the great talkers of all time. But over the last couple of months, whether it be who they're facing or their delivery or whatever, I ranked it Gary Hart number 2, Flair number 3, and Dusty number 4. And I said, what I said was, Jim Cornette is a great talker, but he wasn't that promo that was pulling me into his matches like the other guys. I didn't say he wasn't a great promo like throughout his career. And in fact, I said that earlier in the show, and then Cornette showed up and actually cut a promo that made me really want to see the match that he was promoting, which was the Midnight Express versus Arn and Tully. So on that very show, he moved himself up above Dusty Rhodes and Ric Flair, who on that show were cutting great promos, but it wasn't like anything that was making me beg to see a match. Like Gary Hart was blowing me away, Dick Murdoch was blowing me away, and Cornette was awesome on that show. I was merely talking about that period in time over the last couple of weeks and months. That's it. Don't try to get Cornette upset at me. Cornette's an incredible promo. Incredible.
Was that a transitional period? I think it was, with them becoming baby faces.
Yeah, they were about to turn babyface.
Yeah, they didn't have, I don't think they had a whole lot, and I'm going off of memory here, to sink their teeth into at the time, where there were these other things that were obviously taking precedence, what was going on there, which obviously doesn't help the promo. You're into something hot and you got something going on, and they would later on with the Fantastics and
no, it's before. They just finished off the Fantastics deal.
They just, okay.
And
so,
Cornette was cutting... Cornette was cutting good promos about the Fantastics, but it wasn't like when he was done with the promo, I was begging to see the Midnights versus the Fantastics for any reason other than I knew it would be a good match. You know what I'm saying? But when he started cutting promos on the World Tag Team Champions and noting that, technically we're the number one contenders, but we never got a shot. And then Tully and Arn go on there and, David Crockett throws out the line about, don't the World Tag Team Champions make 3 times as much as the U.S. Tag Team Champions? And Tully just confidently goes, all I know is we don't stay in $6 motels. And like when these two teams were done talking, I was like, let's get fighting. Give me this damn match right now. Yeah, very different than the Midnight stuff.
Well, and iron sharpens iron, though, as well, too. The Midnights and the Fantastics had been done in a way where, if like you saw it in World Class, it resonated differently than when you saw it in Crockett. And for those fans that had been around for a while, that they had seen that. So, it was I guess for some people, a little bit more of going through the motion. So it wasn't like that. Where this was all new with the Midnights turning good, and then you got everybody jousting with each other, and it was 6 professionals. Not only the 4 wrestlers, but obviously Cornette going back and forth with J.J. Dillon. So obviously that's going to raise your game up and make everything sound a lot better, and carry a lot more weight to it too when you're battling back and forth with guys who are really, really good.
All right, I'm going to give a quick speech right here, and then we can either talk about this more or move on. But the season finale of Total Divas aired. And I will preface this by saying that if I'm wrong, I apologize. I did not see the show. I merely read recaps of the show. And I also know that this has been talked about many times, so I'm pretty sure that I'm not out to lunch when I talk about this. So on the season finale, and I actually did see clips of this, Nikki Bella announced that she's retiring. She basically talked to her family. She went on the European tour. She decided that she's getting older. Her body doesn't feel great. She's already had neck surgery. Time taken away from her other businesses. She's retiring. And Brie Bella also indicated she's retiring. Her and Daniel Bryan want to have another baby, and she's got her business as well. And here's the key. She also noted how devastated she was by the reaction to her knocking out Liv Morgan. And it was noted many times, the reaction to this to her on social media. Now, when she knocked out Liv Morgan, I was very, very upset. Because accidents happen all the time in wrestling. All the time. In WWE, in New Japan. They're going to happen in AEW, CMLL, All Japan, AAA, every promotion in the world, Ring of Honor. Accidents happen everywhere and people get hurt. And this was an accident. But it was also an accident where Liv was on her knees and she was barely moving and she had a target right there for Brie Bella, and Brie somehow still kicked her right in the face and knocked her out. I was very mad about that. Now, if you go back and listen during that period, yes, I was mad about it, but there were virtually everybody was way harder on Brie Bella than I was. I never said that Brie Bella should retire. All I said was that maybe she should spend more time in the Performance Center training before making a return to the ring after having a child. That's all I said. Now, one of the things that has frustrated me for a long time about the women's division in WWE is I often see, this is not everybody, but this is, and it's usually people that like shouldn't even be trying this stuff. I often see that for some reason, whether it's the agents or the trainers or whoever it is, they, I guess to differentiate the women from the men in some way, they have the women do these weird things, these weird spots that they probably, quite frankly, shouldn't be doing. And listen, if they had the guys do these spots, I'd say the same thing about the guys. I'm not specifically saying this about the women. I just see it more with the women than I do with the men. These weird things that they shouldn't be trying. I mean, I'm sure that Brie Bella's taken kickboxing classes and that sort of thing, but does she really need to be throwing yes kicks? Okay, probably not. Now, I watched Okada Ishii from the G1 twice. I watched it twice. And especially the second time I watched it, it's just mind-blowing how they did nothing. They did forearms. They did chops. Okada did 4 drop kicks. There were a couple of suplexes. There were some lariats. The most difficult thing they did was a tombstone pile driver. and I think there was only one because they kept fighting. There was a DDT. Like, I didn't even write any of this down. I just remember the whole match. They did virtually nothing in that match. But it was the way that they put the match together. It was where they placed the moves. It was the music between the notes. It was a beautiful professional wrestling match where they had like 6 moves each in a 20-minute match, 25-minute match. It was awesome. It's not about the moves. So at the end of the day, the first part of this rant is just the women don't need to be doing anything that they are not capable of effectively doing on each other. Period. That goes for the women. It goes for the men. You don't need to be doing anything that you can't do well. And you can still have great matches with like 6 moves. That was the knock on Ric Flair and Bret Hart and Hulk Hogan and some of the biggest stars of all time. The same 5 moves. You know how many times I heard that about John Cena? They still had great matches because it's not about the moves. That's number 1. And number 2, if she is actually retiring because she was so hurt by what people said about her on social media, I don't even know what to say. Like, I've said it a million times. This is not, I'm not hitting Brie Bella here with this. It's just for everybody in the whole entire world. Don't concern yourself with what people say on social media. It's not real. It's not real. You can go to any live event. The Bellas go to signings all the time. They're going to be at WWE Access. There ain't going to be one person that comes up to them and yells at Brie Bella for what she did to Liv Morgan. Not one person. They're all going to tell her how great she is. They're going to kiss her ass. They're going to do the whole thing because that's what real people do in real life. When it's a cliche, but when they're hiding behind that keyboard and they can say whatever they want, and they're a little egg with 6 followers, and they're burying you and they're saying this and that, it's not real. Nobody retire because of what anybody says about you on social media. Nobody stop doing whatever you're doing because of what people say about you on social media. If you believe in what you're doing, do it. And cancel your social media accounts if you have to. Back in a moment. Wrestling Observer Live. Back in the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. Raw tonight. All sorts of stuff going on. SmackDown tomorrow. The alleged Kurt Angle match with AJ Styles. I expect it to happen, but I mean, don't be surprised if it doesn't. I actually had someone in WWE the other day ask me if I knew of anybody that had been keeping track of company announcements for Raw and SmackDown that ended up not taking place. I was like, just listen to the Monday Observer Live. Like, we recap everything that's going to happen that's been announced, and then you can go and see what wasn't announced. And that's it's basically the deal. The person says, Bryan ought to try and get into the Honor Rumble. Tie it up with Ishii. Oh, man. I've always said I will never wrestle for a promotion with nationwide television, so that excludes Ring of Honor. But man, what an opportunity to get in there and trade chops with Ishii. And he's my height. Actually, he's shorter.
Oh, stop it.
Nope, Friday when you solo co-hosted, I went to the doctor for my annual physical. And 5'7". 5'7". That what? From the doctor. So all of this, he's 5'5", 5'4", 5'2". You guys are idiots. 5'7". That's straight from the doctor. I've got it on paper. There you
Joseph
go.
Istwanik?
When was the last time?
What gimmick doctor are you going to?
It's not a gimmick doctor. He's the best. I'd say his name, but I can't. We're out of time, everybody. Here every day, Monday through Friday, noon Pacific 3 Eastern, Sundays 3 Pacific 6 Eastern. Mike will be back tomorrow. I want to thank everybody in the studio, callers and listeners, my main man Dom. Talk to you again next time. Wrestling Observer Live.